It's a land which is
I just want to check it out.
I mean, that's not right. That's not. We're doing an outdoor party.
Yeah, oh my gosh. It was like it was last week or something.
It's just crazy. I couldn't believe that you'd clear and we'd be sitting there and there's all of a sudden there'd be sheets of rain. There's a sort of a creek behind this little golf course and it flooded.
That was 90. That was what to do anymore.
We don't know what happened to the tigers.
Oh,
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. That is our typical greeting when we gather on a Saturday or Friday evening or Saturday morning. I am so honored and excited for us to all be here to witness Jake becoming a bar mitzvah, becoming an adult in the Jewish community. So just a few quick notes before we get started. Because this is a service, I ask that you turn off your phones. Whatever it is, we'll be waiting for you afterwards. And also no photography during the service. Dave is here in the back. Thank you to Dave Zucker for bringing us beyond our walls. For those watching at home, he will also be recording the service. So if you would like to look back at it later, if you would want to catch something or watch a nice moment again, because we're going to have a lot of nice moments, aren't we, Dave?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. So you'll be able to do that because we want you to be fully present and here with us now. So we are going to have we'll have a couple pieces. We'll have a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking, but it's a lot of work that has gone into this talking. So the first thing we will do is I would like to invite Jake Leitner to the Bima to share with us some words about a story from our Torah, from our sacred text. All right, just like we practiced, right? All right, don't look at me, look at them. I know what you're going to say. They don't know.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for coming to my bar mitzvah, especially my family that has traveled far to be here today. I'm excited to share this special occasion with you. Before I begin, I'd like to share a few facts with you about my favorite dinosaur, the T-Rex. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was the largest carnivore dinosaur that ever existed, being 25 feet tall, 50 feet in length, and weighing in at 10 tons, equaling 20,000 pounds. It had many advantages over Spinosaurus and 9 weapons on his body, which made him a perfect killing machine. It ran at great speeds at 17 miles per hour, faster than Spinosaurus. Now, I would like to share a Jewish story from the Torah. If you don't know, the Torah is the first part of the Jewish Bible and it has many stories in it. This is about 2 brothers, Jacob and Esau. They were twins, but they were very different from one another and they did not treat each other nicely. Esau liked to hunt and spend time outside, while Jacob was quiet and liked to stay indoors. Since their dad was a big meat eater and hunter, Esau was his favorite son. Jacob was his mom's favorite son. Esau was the older twin and therefore was given the birthright. This meant that Esau would be the son that would inherit the leadership of the family's wealth after his mom and dad passed. In addition, it meant that Esau would receive a blessing from his dad, where his dad would ask God to take care of his son in a special way. You'd think like Esau would be excited, right? Who wouldn't? Him. Esau was not excited about it. In fact, one day, Esau came home from a long day of hunting and he was starving. His brother Jacob was making stew and Jacob didn't want to share any with Esau. But because Esau was so hungry and made a deal with Jacob, Esau said he'd give up his birthright if he could have some stew. Isn't that crazy? But that was the deal they made. So Esau gave up his birthright and ate the stew. But years later, when the boy's father was dying and could barely see, their father wanted to make sure Esau had the birthright before he died. However, Jacob believed it was now really for him because of the trade they made. So Jacob created a plan to trick his dad into believing he was Esau so he would receive the birthright. One day, when Esau was away on a hunting trip, Jacob dressed up like Esau and even got smelly and dirty because Esau was always smelly and dirty from hunting. He did this so that when he met with his dad, he'd be able to fool him into thinking he was Esau and would be given the birthright. Pretty sneaky. The trick worked. His father gave the birthright to Jacob. When Esau found out, he was so mad. In fact, Jacob had to run away from home so that Esau wouldn't kill him. In the end, Esau forgave Jacob. We don't know why God let this happen, but the moral of the story is that we all messed up sometimes. I can't help but to think about my own brother Cole when learning about stories like this. You see, I love my brother. He's the best brother I could ever thank you so much for being my brother and being here today. I'd also like to thank our rabbi for all of her time, advice, and guidance.
So Jake, now it's my turn. Ooh, let me turn this back on. Wait, am I good now? Sorry. Okay, back on. All right. So thank you so much, Jake, for telling us this story. So just before you got up here, you were telling me how old the Tyrannosaurus Rex was, how long ago they lived, right?
Yeah.
Like millions of years ago?
Yes.
That's a long time, right?
It never met the Spinosaurus.
All right, because they lived so far apart they never would have met each other.
Yeah.
So this story you told us, now this is going to pale in comparison to the dinosaurs, but that story is probably 4,000 years old.
Yeah, that's super duper looper old.
It is super duper looper old. And so the story, so the story you told us here and the other stories in the Torah that we're going to take out in a second have been important stories for Jewish people for like 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Maybe not as old as a dinosaur, but a really long time. And you said you weren't sure why God had that happen, because it wasn't a good thing,
Yeah,
was it?
no one knows what happened to the dinosaurs.
That's true. There's a lot of things we don't know. And sometimes all we can do is do our best guess. And that's kind of what listening to stories is about sometimes, about we may not know why it happened, but we give our best guess. So sometimes we have stories with good people in them, right?
Right.
And they tell us what we should do. So that how can we be good people? How can we be good friends? And they demonstrate for us, right? They model for us what to do. But this story, neither brother was really good, was he?
Nope.
No. So why do we read a story about people who were bad to each other?
I don't remember.
I don't know. You didn't have to remember. That was my question, because if we're looking for examples, we want good examples, right?
Right.
But I think maybe what this story is trying to tell us is that when we see a bad example, we're more likely to remember it and go, oh yeah, that was not the way to go. You might not remember this, but the grown-ups in the room might remember a TV show from the 90s called Seinfeld. Yeah, you watch Seinfeld? Yep. In that TV show, they showed us a lot of times what we shouldn't do. They showed us how we shouldn't treat our friends or our neighbors or people we meet on the street. And we remember those stories, but they help us remember what not to do as opposed to what we should do, right?
Right.
So Jake, now that you are a grown-up in the Jewish community now, these stories are for you to tell us what they're about. That's what being a grown-up is. You don't just listen to the story, you take the story and you tell us what we should learn from it. So in a few minutes, I'm going to ask your grandparents to come up, and we are going to take those stories. It's like a symbol. And we're going to take that Torah scroll and say that many generations have read these stories, and now it's your turn to take those stories and make them relevant, make us understand them, and how we can remember them as we go about our lives.
Okay.
Okay. But first, before I call your parents up to share some words, I don't know, I may have told you this, that I have some presents for you. So I have 3 presents in this bag for you. One of them, in this envelope, is we call a bar mitzvah certificate. A certificate is a fancy piece of paper that's going to say that, can you read this? You recognize that, right?
Yes.
The handwriting's kind of fancy, right?
Right. I just can't write in Hebrew.
Okay, but will you read that part? I think you can read that part.
Yeah. Jake Leitner.
Good. Was called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah on the 27th of ER, that's the date, the Hebrew date, corresponding to the English date of the 28th of May. That's today, right? So my hope is that whenever you look at this certificate, hopefully it'll have a nice place in your house, that you'll remember this special moment that we shared up here and we shared with your family and friends, because this is a big accomplishment. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to put that back in here. And then I'm going to show you what else is in this bag. They're wrapped though, so I'm not gonna, you can unwrap them later. This is a book. And I thought, Jake, instead of giving you a big book that we give to everybody else who becomes Bar Mitzvah, I wanted to give you a special book. This is a book about inside out and feelings. And my hope is that you'll use this book when you're trying to, if you have some questions about feelings or things that the characters will remind you that your Jewish family loves you. Yes?
Just like the movie Inside Out.
Exactly! It's amazing how that works out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Do you think I knew that?
Yes,
Yes,
you
I did, because we've talked about that. And then the last thing I have for you, it's wrapped in this one, is a Kiddush cup. And a Kiddush cup is a special cup we use on Shabbat. And my hope is that it will help you do more, it will help you do mitzvot, do Jewish things so that you can have Jewish experiences with your family and wherever you go. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So now, for a present of words, I'd like to call your parents, Brian and Melissa, to share some words on this special occasion. Are you going to be a good listener? Good have listening ears? All right.
You can sit or you can be with me, whatever you like. Whatever you guys prefer. So just make sure you're by the microphone though, so everybody at home can hear you.
Okay. Good.
I'm going to cry, so.
Okay. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. Melissa and I feel very blessed that you guys came out. This doesn't happen. Jakey, we are super duper proud of you. You did awesome. You pushed through. You were really concerned. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And you worked really hard.
Yes, I did.
And
I
you
was
did
the eye of the tiger.
Eye of the tiger. You were fantastic.
Yeah, Joseph, sarcastic, and roarsome.
Jakey, you are smart. You're funny. You're passionate about your hobbies, and that is contagious.
Yes, I am. Smart as a T-Rex.
Yes. So, your mom and I are always trying to teach you and Cole something new every day. The reality is, you guys probably teach us more than we teach you. But today's lesson is a reminder. This is something we've taught you already. What we've taught you is if you work hard and you practice, there's nothing you can't do. So if you practice on something you want, you'll get it. And you prove that again today. You prove that all the time. And so we hope today is just a great reminder that the next time you have to do something hard, Jake, you know you can do it.
Yes, I can.
Awesome, buddy. So, Rabbi, thank you very much. When Melissa and I met with you, we asked you to set up a day that would be incredibly rewarding and fulfilling, but do it on our terms. And the entire time you said anything you want. So we really do appreciate what you put together today and the time that you spent with Jake. So as we move forward, obviously the service is not over. But again, we really want to thank you guys for coming out, and we want to continue the celebration at our house. So thanks for coming out.
All right.
I'm the worst at turning the microphone on and off. All right, so now we are going to do a special ceremony. So, Jake, remember how I said that those stories are really, really old?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And so there's been a tradition in the Jewish people for thousands and thousands of years to give those stories to the next generation. So now I'm honored to invite up your grandparents. I'm going to call up everybody. Make sure I want to get everybody's name right. And of course, I wrote it down on the wrong page. There we go. So I would like to invite Butch and Cindy, Jake's grandparents. They're going to open the Ark for us. The Ark is where we keep our Torah scrolls. And Art and Sheila to join us up here as we pass the Torah down. And it is our custom in our congregation that when these doors are open, we rise and we remain standing. So I invite everyone to rise. All right. All right. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and open. That's fine. I'll take it out.
I'll take it out so that we're all ready. Oh, and Cole, come on up. Oh, Cole's coming up too.
One of the things about a Torah scroll that helps us remind us how ancient it is, the scroll was created before the book. And we often don't think of a book as an invention, but when you want to flip from one page to the other really quickly, it's easy. On a scroll, not so much. So this scroll reminds us of the thousands of generations who have come before us, of Jewish people who have shared these same stories. Jake, the story you shared with us today has been heard by thousands and thousands and thousands of other people and treasured as something that's special to us. And I am so honored, Jake, that you now have this story and you get to share it with everyone who comes after you. And as far as accepting the Torah and being a Jewish adult, we know that we're celebrating that for Jake today, and we know that will come for Cole in due time. So we can imagine that there's a whole bunch of other people, many, many generations, who could be, if they could be here with us, they would be. And we are honored that Jake is the next one to hold the Sefer Torah, to hold the Torah scroll, and have it be close to his heart. Okay, and then Sheila, if you want to give it a hug, that's perfect. All right, then give it to Ryan. Yep. We hold fast to Torah. That's one of the phrases we use. All right, Jake, you got it? All right, Jake. And so Jake has learned a prayer for us. This is a prayer thanking God for us having this special moment together. All right, Jake, will you say it out loud, just like we practiced?
Sure. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Okay, I can take that back. We say, Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov. It's a good sign, and congratulations. So I will return the Sefer Torah. Everyone is welcome to return to their seats. That was it. How do you feel, Jake? You should feel great. You did so much for us today. You shared with us that you read a story, you understood the story, and you made sure that we all knew what it was about and how we can understand it later. So I want to say thank you to Jake for bringing us something new. There's a line in Jewish tradition from the book of Proverbs, Ein chadash tachat hashamayim, there's nothing new under the sun. But I think, Jake, today you brought your special spin to what a bar mitzvah can be, and we are honored to have shared it together. So I wish Jake and his entire family a mazel tov, and I wish you a Shabbat shalom, and enjoy the rest of your celebration together.